you losers, but Han Solo's a bitch.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, what did you just say? Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
People are counting on us. The galaxy is counting on us. Solo, we'll figure it out. We'll use the Force. That's not how the Force works.
What's up? Whoa, wait. Wait. How is... I never understood it when they did it to C-3PO, but how did... They're missing his nose. We can't hear him. But he's a droid. His mouth is not moving.
No, it's just a speaker.
And why does he have eyelids?
Welcome to the shit show.
Wookie, you're so bad.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. The only
makes
nerds.
me laugh every time. Makes me laugh every time. So
we got a new face on the panel, and we're short a face on the panel who I think he forgot he was supposed to be here. We'll see if he's here, but we have Beard of Liberty with us. He was pretty active in our chat when we were doing the Ahsoka thing, and we decided to bring him on here with us. He seems like a pretty big nerd.
Well, I may be more used to than I currently am, but still, I have opinions. I'm happy to share them.
I think a lot of us are less nerds than we were based on modern stuff.
Yeah.
We'll go around the horn. We'll start with Beard. How you been, sir?
Been pretty well. Like I said, I'm happy to be here. The subject matter, the fact that we are here for the lamentation of something that we love so much is not exactly joyous, but here we are.
Well, we're also going to talk about some things we like about it too.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Brad, how you been, sir? Mr. Bigwig?
I'm just
Partner.
a little overwhelmed at work, realizing how much stuff I have to finish up before the end of the year. Yeah. But fortunately, I can always, relax with a fun show of Loki, me and the 5 other people that are watching that thing.
Go ahead, Joker. How you been, sir?
Oh, I'm awake in time to celebrate what once was great, and as Beard said, lament over its present state.
Yeah. Go over to the chat real quick. Marlene stopped by, said she didn't know she'd be able to make it when the stream was live, but she wanted to show up, make an appearance. Seems pretty cool. Also pretty active in the chat during the Ahsoka streams.
She's a stalker.
Yeah. And Ariel Ballet's here. Lies. All lies. You're all wrong. Ahsoka saved Star Wars and Disney just like that Star Wars Christmas special. Ariel's our troll. We also got
Wolverine Snick.
Hey, we got Blair to Blair in here.
What's up, Blair?
Another man with a gorgeous beard.
Yes, he is. Yes, he does.
Yeah. And Wolverine. What's up, Wolvie? So we're going to start off, and we'll let Beard go first since he's the newbie to the panel. Well, Joker's a newbie, but he's with me on Sundays too. So, what was the time what made you fall in love with Star Wars? When and where? I
don't remember exactly how old I was. It was either towards the end of elementary school or maybe that's probably 4th or 5th grade. I'm 40 years old. Y'all can do the math. I'm too old to do it. Return of the Jedi, specifically the Sarlacc pit scene, came on TV.
83.
And yeah, I was just absolutely captivated by it. I'm standing there in the middle of the living room. My dad's on the couch and he's been surfing channels and he stopped for just long enough. And for some reason, immediately, I'm just like, I love this. I want to know more about this. And I remember he went to commercial. He just quietly asked, "Did you like that?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Maybe we'll watch the rest of it." Pretty sure the next weekend we rented the first movie, and the next weekend the second movie, and the weekend after the third movie. And
that's a parenting win right there.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely. And I don't know exactly what it was about it that caught my attention that just completely had me so much enamored. It might have been the metal bikini. We'll never know. But it was just all out love of the property from then on out. We didn't have a bunch of money, so I would go to the library and check out every Star Wars book I could find, read them multiple times over, rewatch the films. Yeah. If it was Star Wars and it existed, I tried to consume it.
Nice.
Evidently, Fractured is trying to get in, and he's getting an error code. Just send him a fresh invite.
Wow.
We'll see if he gets in that way. Brad, you have a grand story for when you fell in love with Star Wars. Let's hear it.
Well, that was when The Force Awakens came out, of course. And then The Last Jedi furthered my love. Oh, wait a minute.
You
This
shut
is
your
Mirror
mouth.
Universe me. Star Wars was the first live action movie I saw. It was in the fall of 1977. I was almost 5 years old. After that, toys, the empty box campaign. I ordered Boba Fett through the mail. Didn't have the projectile missile that the first one came out with, because they realized kids would eat those, just like they were eating the same things on all the Cylon fighters
Yes.
and
the Battlestar
fighters.
Galactica toys. Yes.
So it was stuck, but I got it through the mail. That's when I first got Boba Fett, when it was a mysterious character. Empire came out. I had all the toys except the AT-AT. That was too expensive. Return of the Jedi. I was unfortunately very sick that day. Could not go to school. Stood in line behind 3 lawyers who were talking how they were going to figure out how they told their partner they were not in court, but they were watching Star Wars. Then after that, continued on, be a fan, until things started to take a turn post Disney purchase.
Hold on. Ariel, it should not be. It should only be my main channel. It shouldn't be my profile live. I don't know. Rumble's been being really weird, and I've been getting really low views lately, so I might have to figure out what the hell's going on with that. Joker.
Yes. 1977. I'm 6 years old. I'm living in Omaha, Nebraska. My father is transitioning out from the Air Force into civilian life, so I don't see him quite that often. One night, right before I go to bed, he tells me that he asks if I've been doing really well in school. And I said, "Oh yeah, I have. Yeah. And he says, "Okay, well, if I get off work early, I have a surprise for you." So the very next day, I am the most antsy first grader in the school. Bell rings. I am the first kid out the door, and there's my dad right in front, and we're riding along, and I'm like, "Where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going?" And my dad is like, just chill. You'll see. And we pull into this shopping center, and there's a movie theater, a marquee, and it says Star Wars on it. And I'm like, ooh. So we go in, get a little popcorn, get a beverage, and we go sit down. And this is when the theater lights go down and a big curtain comes up. And the 20th Century Fox comes up and the music starts. And then a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, first note of John DeWilliams' score hits, and this 6-year-old, for the next 2 hours, his jaw is on the floor. And just this amazing world. And my mom was very salty about that because May 25th is her birthday, and my dad decided to take me to the movies instead of spending the day with her. True story.
Pretty good. So I was too late to watch the first Star Wars. My brother was not, and I was an infant in 1978. He took my mobile apart and hung all his Star Wars characters from it. So I was being brainwashed at a young age.
Nice.
And going back to what Brad said, I had the original set of Star Wars figures that had the stage with the cardboard background to it, and Kenner couldn't make them fast enough, so I actually had IOU cards.
Yeah,
once they
it was the empty box campaign.
Yes.
Yep. What's up, Jason? What's up? So the first time I seen Star Wars was 1980. In a movie theater that ended up being dilapidated and only showing movies that were 2 or 3 years old by the time it shut down.
Okay.
But the first time that AT-AT stepped foot on Hoth,
Oh, on Empire, yeah.
I was hooked. And then when it was no Luke, I'm your father. Like, no one can ever get that line right again. I was blown away. I'm like, oh my God, really? This bad guy's his father? And ever since then, I was hooked.
Mhm.
And then Brad gets mad at me because I say Return of the Jedi is better than New Hope. I didn't watch New Hope first.
What's up,
But
Jay?
yeah, so
Spoilers.
I don't know. Can you see that? Is StreamYard's doing that shit again?
Doing
Or
what again?
there it
doing it.
goes. Yeah. No, I thought it put up. Oh, Marlene made it back in. What's up, Marlene? But yeah, so we all have a love for this brand. We also have a severe distaste for this brand. When did you notice this distaste? Go ahead, Beard.
I fought it off probably longer than most, I think. Because I didn't hate Rogue One or Solo. I would find something in there that I like. Don't give me that look. Don't, I can point that way. Don't give me that look. I would try to find it because I didn't want, it was like watching a loved one die, and I did not want to pull the plug. And I was even, this is embarrassing to say, so hold on to the crowbar. I was even mildly kind of like, not an apologist, but I could see the messed up thinking how Disney went into their first film, where it was the prequels were so different from the original series that they were too afraid to do anything different. So they just basically recreated the original series. But then they took that kind of messed up thinking and just shat the bed, the wall, the floor, and everything around them. And then I was just like, I'm out. We're done here. This is absolutely unsalvageable at this point. I know it's disappointing that I even remotely found joy in those other films, but especially Solo.
Well,
I'm sorry.
It also goes to your love, and like you said, wanting to find something in it you like because you remember it so well. So
Yeah.
that's a perfectly fine answer.
And in a way, I'm actually kind of jealous that some people can still find that joy. I think that what they're finding that joy in is fundamentally flawed, and it is not an objective thing in a lot of these at a lot of these points. But the fact that they can suspend their disbelief not only in the fiction of the film, but in the quality that they're being given, I'm kind of jealous they can still find that joy.
Ignorance is bliss, sir.
Yeah, it's true.
Ignorance is bliss. Once you learn to start breaking films down for what they actually are, it becomes harder and harder to watch modern content and enjoy it as much.
Yeah.
Brad, what was your moment?
Well, I, of course, had some distaste from the prequels, mainly Phantom Menace, which, again, looking back, is not as bad as it is. It just was a little childish at the time, and I was hoping for something more in line with where I was being like a 30-year-old, 29, 30-year-old guy, as opposed to being the 6-year-old kid I was. So, Murder Bears, we all like the Murder Bears and Return of the Jedi when we're kids. But, when you're an adult, you're like, nah, not as much. So, we had that lull there. We had Clone Wars, which I thought was okay. There were some parts of Rebels, which was okay. And then Force Awakens comes out. And I think ultimately it was the bait and switch that got me. It's like you hear they're bringing back Han, Luke, and Leia. And it's like they're continuing the story. And they're coming in and they're getting us. It's like, yes, bring out your keys. Because here's the thing. Everyone wanted the trilogy to continue. We had Heir to the Empire, the Thrawn trilogy. We saw what it could be in book form. Now it's like, maybe they're going to make it in movie form. And I get the point of wanting to create a new generation. That's fine. I'm a Star Trek guy. Clearly, I'm okay with going on from original to next generation. as long as it's done well. So I was fooled a little bit in Force Awakens. I felt the nostalgia, definitely different than I felt with the prequels. And I think Beard is right. It was really it was very much mimicking A New Hope with elements of Empire in it. So that was like the trick of it, I think. But walking, the first time I was like, oh, that was enjoyable. I liked how they were like, it felt more like Star Wars. That was my first impression. And then, of course, I saw it a few more times, and I'm like, well, I never liked the fact they killed Han Solo, even though we all know Harrison Ford wanted to die in Jedi.
Right.
But the way they did it, and then the complete promotion from nobody to the biggest star ever, the biggest, greatest character ever of Rey out of nowhere, when they had a completely interesting new idea of a rogue stormtrooper and they just left it. And you watch it,
China.
like, yeah, is Finn going to be part of this? Is it? I mean, obviously we know what happened. So I began to feel a little awkward about it. I'm like, something's not right about this. I don't like the way he was killed. And then I knew, wait, we're not going to get Han, Luke, and Leia on the screen together. What are you doing? And then Luke at the end, before he even threw away, it's just like he said, what a freaking dick tease. So Rogue One comes out, and honestly, I enjoyed Rogue One for the story of it. I did not think the characters were that great, but I liked the telling of the story. I got the sense it was actually a war more than I did in any Star Wars movies. And of course, the end. I'm not talking the Vader part. I'm just talking the battle on Scarif. The ground battle. I was like, now I actually see what the Star Wars is about. So I enjoyed that. Everything I felt after multiple watchings of Force Awakens was just like Last Jedi broke it. I walked out, and I remember I went to the movie alone, because I often do that because I know my girlfriend needs me to answer questions throughout the movie, and I can't do that on the first viewing. So I'll go alone. So I had a nice dinner, had a nice glass of wine, got a drink, sat down, and I walked out, and I was really perplexed. I'm like, I don't know what I saw. And I remember coming home, and my girlfriend goes, "Oh, how was it?" I go, "I don't know." She goes, "What do you mean, Joe?" I said, I don't know what I watched. And like, what do you mean? I said, I'm gonna have to see it again, but it just didn't feel like Star Wars. And that's, for me, Last Jedi was truly the nail in the coffin for what Disney was doing to a once venerable franchise. So that and I didn't even get Rise of Skywalker. Ugh. Ugh. So yeah, that's where the turn happened for me.
All right, before we go to Joker, let's discuss this real quick. Ariel said, so would you guys say it's harder for the older generation to look at newer stuff as it is for the younger generation who are able to find something in it? That depends. And that depends. You could be a young kid and learn the way we did in the exact same way we did and see a difference in the films. But part of it comes to when you start critiquing films and you start looking at how films are made. Like, my biggest thing was always the behind the scenes stuff. I always loved that stuff. Now I've gotten more into the pacing and plot and all that good stuff. So it makes a difference at how you look at a film. If you look at it as stupid entertainment, you can almost enjoy anything. But if you look at it as art, it makes it harder to enjoy some things. I think, would you guys agree?
I would tend to agree with that. Sure.
Yeah.
Your mic's cutting low again, Joker.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
I can appreciate someone. Look, different perspectives. We're all Gen Xers here, so there's a certain age group difference between the kids being brought up on the sequel trilogies, but you still have to pay respect and homage to what came before. And I say it again with the Admiral on the left side of the screen here for me. Actually, yeah, he's Admiral at that time. Yeah, he's got his Admiral pins on. Trek, I think Trek did it right. I think they paid homage to the original characters, even brought them in occasionally just to show, but they progressed the story. And I think that's where Disney went wrong. They didn't do it well. They just wanted, they were literally forcing characters down your throat without learning to accept them. We learned why Luke Skywalker was a hero. We were told, you will accept Rey as a hero. You will accept that she is the most powerful person ever. And Ray could have been an interesting character. Finn would have been an interesting character if they were allowed to write for him. We've heard John Boyega talk about it.
Yeah.
But they just did look. They marry Suitor, and I want something a little more complex. Even as a kid, I was more interested in Luke's story as a kid, as he grew and became the hero that he became. Again, going back to the creator understanding myth and legend and understanding the hero's journey because he read Joseph Campbell. I guarantee no one who's writing any of this stuff understood the lore, understood Arthurian legend, understood the lessons that Joseph Campbell wrote about. They're just writing.
If they do, they're actively trying to fight against it.
That's because they have a message they want to promote.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Story over message.
Yeah.
And I think, the younger generation, because they just inundated with messaging now, they think that's what it should be. So when you see something that's not messaging, and we think about we watch something that's like, oh my God, there wasn't any woke stuff in it. How refreshing.
Yeah.
Because we remember what it was like. It's the stories today are inundated with messages and narrative over storytelling. And I think that's what we as the older generation see, which is why we look at the new stuff like it doesn't work, which is why I could see the younger guys saying it works because that's what they grew up with.
Well, and exactly what we're talking about is comparative to a modern legacy that we'll bring up here later on that is seeming to fail and die off as well. Joker, what was your time when you realized what was going on?
Kind of like Brad. When I saw The Force Awakens, I was like, "Oh, this looks nice. This is because visually it was very fun to watch." Then Rogue One, and yes, the entire third act was fun. Yes, the Vader moment was a big nerdgasm. And The Last Jedi, kind of like Brad, when I went and saw it, I walked out and I'm like, this is a weird feeling. I don't like a Star Wars film. This was very odd to me. From there, as far as the films went, it was just complete. It was just downhill from there. And then John Favreau came with this little thing called the Mandalorian, which was a small scale, kind of a Western adventure of the week kind of thing that was set in the Star Wars world. And you believed that this was in the Star Wars world. It made sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I'm fine with this. Season 2 was a little more spectacle and kind of like, oh, I could see a show starting from here. I could see a show starting from here. And then ever since Mando season 2, the quality has just gone to shit. And this is when I started learning more about who Dave Filoni really is and what he's really about. And I'm where I am now. Anything that Disney has done everything is going to a brick wall. And the brick wall is Ray Palpatine usurping the Skywalker name. And until that is dealt with, Star Wars is dead. You can't save it.
So I got super excited. I wasn't excited about Disney owning Star Wars, but I got super excited when we were going to get new movies. And that's when I found out the Clone Wars existed and Rebels came out shortly before. I started watching all the Clone Wars, watching getting amped up. Yeah. I own all of Rebels. I physically own all of Rebels. I need to buy all the Clone Wars, by the way. But so I was amped going into Force Awakens, and I didn't see anything coming. I'm like, oh my God, they killed Han Solo. That's fucked up. I'm like, there's no way they can, me and my brother were arguing, like, there's no way they can redeem Kylo Ren and da-da-da-da-da. Like, I was a fucking fanatic. I have a fucking almost $300 Black Series fucking first order fucking TIE fighter right there. I was set to go. When me and my best friend went and watched it opening night, I probably went and seen it 6 or 7 times with family members, stuff like that. We went and seen Rogue One opening night. we were super pumped. Super pumped leaving that movie theater. We were like, oh my God, did you see Vader at the end? That was awesome. And then me and him and my mom and his wife and kids, we went to The Last Jedi. And I remember walking out of the theater and sitting down on the bench outside and lighting a cigarette. And buddy goes, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was literally in shock. I went and seen it again the next day. And I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really bad because, like, I didn't go see another movie. My buddy went opening day and go see Solo. He's like, oh, it's good, da 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 da, and all this other shit. And he was still disillusioned. And he didn't make it to see Rise of Skywalker. He got to see it in a box on my lap. And I was already done. I'd already seen the end of the movie on Twitter. I just took him to go see it. That's the last Star Wars thing I paid for. The only other thing I bought, they released the Black Series Emperor Palpatine with the multiple heads and the throne. I think like a year after Rise of Skywalker. I mean, after The Last Jedi. No, Rise of Skywalker. And I bought that because I didn't have a Palpatine Black Series. But Star Wars died when I sat on that bench and smoked that cigarette.
Yeah.
I've never, ever said, what the fuck at a movie screen before. When they cut Snoke in half. When Luke died.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all
we
put
were all invested. We were all invested in Snoke. We were all invested in Snoke. And if you look at Trevorrow's script that came out, that got leaked out.
Right.
He needed Snoke. Fucking Ryan Johnson just wanted to turn shit upside down his head, and Kathleen Kennedy did nothing but gobble his fucking cock.
Well, see, I have a theory about that. It's because, like I said, with the first one, they played it safe and basically copied A New Hope.
Right. A New Hope.
They saw the backlash from that. And this is what's going to
happen with
Rings of Power, by the way, is they see the backlash. They're going to overcorrect and even further alienate people. And that's what Star Wars did. And that's when you get like man, I've blocked so many of those movies out of my mind. I can't even think of the names sometimes.
Yeah.
I sometimes forget Solo was a movie.
Oh, I don't.
Unless it pops on TNT or something.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's like my mom. I take care of my elderly mom. She's 76 years old. I come downstairs one day. She's watching The Phantom Menace. Just sitting there watching The Phantom Menace, like just chilling.
Right on.
If Star Wars is on, she'll turn it on and watch it. But if those three movies come on, she won't watch them. She doesn't like them.
And I remember when I remember when the first trailer for the Phantom Menace came out, and they showed it. It was first shown on MTV during the Video Music Awards. This was the first showing, and you see the Lucasfilm logo, and I'm already excited. And they got ships flying, pew pew going on, and then that double blade popped out, and I lost my shit. And that was it. That had hit such a cultural nerve that people would go on their lunch breaks to a movie theater
just to see the trailer.
Pay full price for a film just to watch the trailer and walk out.
Yeah, it was funny that day. So when I did the Ahsoka 8 thing, somebody said I was a sequel hater. And I informed them, and I still have my Pod Racer fucking alarm clock in the box.
Oh, the sequels,
now,
you mean?
Yeah.
You mean
the prequel? It's called me a prequel hater. Right.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, because I was still a kid when the prequels came out. I was a really small kid when the original trilogy came out, when Empire and Return of the Jedi came out. And my uncle was in the my cousin was in the Air Force in Germany, and he brought us back a VHS tape with Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back on it, like a year after Empire came out. Let me tell you, I wore those VHS tapes out. Yes.
Oh yeah.
That was always playing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you couldn't even get those movies on VHS at that time. It wasn't until Return of the Jedi when they started coming out on VHS.
Vader!
And they were so expensive.
Well, look, we got some royalty in here.
Right.
How's it going, Vader? We got.
Do you remember when
We got this guy.
that
He's
was
going to
when-
try to take over the show.
when the Phantom Menace trailer came out? I remember that was like early internet, AOL, that type of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I remember downloading the trailer on QuickTime and just getting screen captures to put on my computer screen. And it's like I just had like wallpaper just from screen captures. And it was
it was that second blade too, wasn't it?
It's like,
Oh, yeah.
what is this? What the hell is this? He's got two blades. Now we see two blades. I was like, oh God, are they gonna do the helicopter thing? Oh, Jesus Christ.
So I had known about the two blades because I think it was in the Tales of the Jedi comics. When Exar Kun he first rebels, he takes down his master by modifying his lightsaber with the second blade on it. So I'd already known that kind of existed, but obviously you hadn't seen it in film, and that was fantastic.
You know what the problem is? I just want to point out the problem with Fractured. I think we all know the problem is. We're here discussing why Star Wars is not good, but we've seen Fractured's feelings. We've heard his feelings about Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni when he freely admitted how he felt about them.
Yeah.
So I think maybe he's a little afraid to come on here and profess his love for them.
Wow.
That's just a thought, which I can throw out there because he's not here to defend himself.
Well,
That's the best. That's the opponent I prefer. See, look,
he is
there. It is,
and he is and Fractured. Do not be fooled. He is a huge Dave Filoni fan. Loves the guy.
He's got like a Grogu body pillow.
Oh yeah,
and an Ahsoka body pillow, which he stole from Dave's house.
and a Sabine one too. Now,
I don't think he's worthy of Sabine yet.
Well, you're muted.
I don't think any of us are worthy of Sabine.
Now, if I pull my old Twitter up, and you guys would probably smash me over the head, when Dave Filoni and Dave Favreau were going to do The Mandalorian, I did say praise the maker. I thought Dave Filoni was pretty good at the time. Now, did I not know that he only wrote 25 fucking episodes of all 610 fucking animated episodes? No. Did I not know his wife is a communist? No. There's a lot of things that we didn't know about Dave Filoni, and Disney supported him the correct way.
There's a lot of things we didn't know about Fractured. Holy crap.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I was on the Filoni boat for longer than I probably should have been. Again, just holding on to hope.
Yes, I think that was a lot of us. We wanted those old feelings back. Oh God, filled us all. Oh, fooled. And I've been going back and watching old Filoni interviews, mainly for clips and stuff like that. But yeah, he really did.
He has been lockstep to do
the whole time.
Kathleen since day one.
Yeah. Well, and for how many of us did Star Wars die with the movies and then got brought back with the Mandalorian?
Yeah.
I thought the first season was good. It had more of a Star Wars feel, and you know what? It was self-contained, and this is, I think, where they went wrong with Ahsoka too. One of the many things they did wrong with Ahsoka, and they do the same thing wrong with Marvel. Everything has to be galaxy ending. Wrong way to go, because just like Ahsoka's galaxy ending, why is Luke Skywalker not there? Right? Everything in Mandalorian was bigger than it should have been when it was contained to him, just like. The man without a name. Man, was it the gunman without a name? The stranger on the road. That's interesting. That was that Western feel. And even the music then fit it. Now we hate the freaking music. But it's like it's interesting to see just like this one guy literally trying to make his way in the galaxy, kind of like Django was saying. I'm just trying to make my way. And what's he doing? his adventures. And it's like, we live in the Star Wars universe, which is what we want to see. We're seeing a different side of it, but I think they lack the creativity to honestly make a different side of it, because everything's going back to what it was. Go back to the Empire, go back to Rebels. Everything's going back to, except to everything but the original trilogy.
Project right there.
Um,
And
well,
Silver had a comment earlier talking about John
this
Favreau,
one,
where John is the writer for all 4 seasons, and he had full control of season 1 and 2. After season 2, Dave Filoni got promoted by Kathleen Kennedy to
Yeah.
executive creative director, which then he became John Favreau's boss. So
Right.
everything post Mando has just gone downhill because Dave Filoni's in charge.
Well, and I think now that we know exactly what Dave Filoni's position was during the animation, he put all the groups together. Basically, he was executive producer. Pretty much, he got the animation groups together with the voice actors and all this stuff. That was his goal, to direct everybody together. I think he did a fairly well job on that.
He was the official title was the supervising director, which basically meant he was quality control. So, and out of 200 plus episodes of Clone Wars and Rebels combined, he's written 25. So he doesn't have a lot of writing talent.
Well, but you'd still think that he would have some skill with keeping a consistent tone with all that experience. But when we got to Mandalorian season 3, we ended up finding out that there was no overarching anything, that directors didn't know what the other directors were working on. That's why we had so many conflicts between stories on one episode that immediately came after another one, and it just didn't make sense. So I don't know where that skill went, or maybe he just faked it till he made it that entire time with Clone Wars.
And also, it didn't help with the films that you basically had 2 directors that were in a pissing contest.
Yep.
Well, and so that was that, and we're seeing this now with Marvel. Marvel's revamping all their tooling, redoing everything, because that's what they were doing. They were following the Star Wars model.
Is there a common connection between the two?
Yeah, Matt.
Nothing coming.
I'm quiet as a mouse. I don't know.
Yeah. Go ahead and have another drink. Crew got photocopies of Fisher's ass on that set.
I'm disappointed Fractured can't get in here. I always wanted to talk to Kyle Katarn.
Yeah, and then
or Din Djarin, depending on who he is.
And if you notice some shots in a Jedi, if you look really closely at Carrie's hand, she's got her cocaine nail going too.
Well, they were talking about, because so they made her bikini like 6 or 7 months before they shot. The bikini was literally falling off of her because she'd lost like another 10 pounds. Yeah, I mean,
cocaine's a hell of
the
a
woman
drug.
had Cary Grant talk to her about how much acid she was doing.
Yeah, I mean, she played a royal character in Star Wars, but literally, she was Hollywood royalty. I mean,
yes, she was. She was very much Hollywood royalty.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just behind the scenes, so influential in so many scripts. No one really knew that. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's Princess Leia." She was a script doctor. She'd go through and fix shit up.
Yeah, she did more of that than she was actually on screen.
Yeah, very, very talented for what she did.
Yeah.
Debbie Reynolds was her mother, and who was her dad again?
Eddie Fisher.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
I was gonna say Bobby Fischer. I'm like, wait, that's a chess dude.
I'll be right back, guys.
All right. But yeah, I mean, I think we all wanted more out of this series than what we got. And there is something about being nostalgia baited. But the problem is that each iteration of it is supposed to outdo the previous iteration of it. So how can you be nostalgia baited if it's not better? You should be driven to want to watch it more. You should be more engrossed. I got that with Mando season 1. Mando season 2 was good. Unfortunately, I canceled my Disney Plus when they fired Gina Carano, and it was specifically not because they fired her, but because of the way they fired her. They should have been more professional on that, instead of her finding out on Twitter. Anybody is capable of firing anybody for any reason, in my opinion. You can have a bad attitude and they don't like you and you're gone. But,
the early Mandalorian definitely felt like the old days when a new Star Wars novel would come out. It felt self-contained in the same universe, but you didn't necessarily have to know what the whole overarching story was, and it just kind of gave me those feels back in that day. I just don't know.
It was like
how it went so wrong so fast.
It was like there was a online role-playing game that I watched. I mean, you guys know what Critical Role is. There was an online role-playing game for Star Wars, and it was taking place, in the Rebellion time, and they were basically just pirates and smugglers who just did random work for the Rebellion, and it all related to it went back to some stuff with Revan. So the GM who was running it was a KOTOR fan. So he'd drop in all this stuff going back to KOTOR. And I liked it because it's like, it's in the Star Wars universe, but it's not all the main characters. I mean, they're like, oh, someone mentioned, oh, the Death Star was destroyed by Luke Skywalker. They go, who the hell's Luke Skywalker? Because not everyone's gonna know who Luke Skywalker is in the universe,
Well, I mean, it goes to what you said about there's so much more out there. It doesn't have to be galaxy ending. And if I remember correctly from the lore, is the Star Wars galaxy proper is several times larger than the Milky Way. So there's plenty of space for other stories out there to be told.
But I honestly think it's better to go to another galaxy. Just saying.
Well, I know it was a far-fetched rumor at the beginning, but I'm kind of thinking that this going to another galaxy. I kind of do think this going to another galaxy is Filoni's pet project. I don't think he has any intention of bringing Ahsoka or Sabine back for Heir to the Empire that will never get created. He wants his own galaxy where he can control his own story and be completely free of the shackles of actual good characters from the legacy.
Because I mean, everyone wants more magic in Star Wars.
See, I don't even
the magic
necessarily
left.
mind
All the
that.
magic's now in the regular galaxy. But even per Disney canon, this is a time of peace. Thrawn can't come back.
Yeah. I mean, he can't go any further than the unknown regions where he's going to get defeated by a ragtag band of Mandalorians, and it's going to be an unsatisfying battle because he can't go further than that. He can't get to a point where he actually would have an impact on history.
Well, there's enough
the
time
purpose
with
of
the
the show?
lifespan if there's enough time with the lifespan of his I want to say brand, his race, that he could go join the First Order and not be alive.
I do think that he is basically going to found the First Order, but he's going to get defeated by Mandalorians. I think that's where they're going to go. I don't think that they want to bring any other Jedi in.
Well, the First Order
has
already started founding because
the Imperial Remnant is the beginning of the First Order.
They all left at the Battle of Jakku.
But we see
all the major players left.
Yeah, we see all those admirals and captains and such looking for one specific sect trying to bring Thrawn back, and one of his his dad or whatever.
Hux.
Yeah, I've blocked
one of the Weasley
brothers. So Hux's dad is supposed to be in another regions with the rest of the Super Star Destroyers and Star Destroyers that left during the Battle of Jakku. So if you read the Aftermath book series with Gallius Rax and all this, the Emperor had already plotted for where them to go. And they sent the transmissions to a select few Star Destroyers and the one last Super Star Destroyer, which Ray Sloan got thrown out and was still Grand Admiral. And they went to deep space per Disney canon. Now we know Disney does not like to be consistent with their own canon. The Imperial Remnant was defeated 4 years or 5 years after there's another big battle that took out the rest of the Remnant. I did read those books. That's how engrossed I was. Well, I did the audiobooks because I had an hour and a half drive to work.
Yeah, see, I couldn't bring myself to further that story at that point. Honestly, where I kind of dropped off is about 3/4 way through the Yuzon Vong storyline, the book
Yeah,
started getting a
got
little too
tough.
crazy, and I read synopsises of things that came after that with Jason Solo turning and things like that,
I read
and I
some.
just didn't
I
really
read
like it.
some.
Is
It
there
got too
pineapple on
much.
that pizza?
Hmm?
Is there pineapple on that pizza?
Nope.
Good man.
I ate pineapple
Pineapple's
on
fine.
pizza on Fractured Show. Uh-oh. We got here. Can he voice Palps?
He can voice Palps eating pizza.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
Yeah, he can do it.
So good.
The writer and I are building original work, yes, inspired by Star Wars, but no connection to it. It is very different in many ways. Failuroni is trying to sandbox. Well, and that is Failuroni's big thing. It's a giant sandbox we all get to play around in.
You're a
So-
Jedi. You're a Jedi. You're a Jedi. If you just want it bad enough.
I mean, yeah,
Well-
in the original extended universe, they did end up having a lot of people who ended up being force sensitive that Luke could train to be Jedi, but there's
Mhm.
usually some logic in there, and it wasn't just a blanket statement that all somebody had to do was try hard.
No, they had to be
Well,
force
and it
sensitive.
wasn't an established
Right.
character that had no force sensitivity and just became force sensitive.
There's
other
one
thing-
I can kind of think of, but there was still reasoning there because he had a family heritage he didn't know about, and that was Corin Horn.
I was going to say, I was trying to remember if it was Kip or Corin.
Yeah, Corin Horn. He was he part of Rogue Squadron. He got captured by, but it's been a long time since I've had to pull this knowledge. Hussein Assard, and he was on the Star Destroyer that was like buried upside down on Coruscant or whatever. And he came upon like an Emperor's trophy room, and there was a lightsaber there as he's trying to escape. He just felt an urge to grab it. He just thought it was so he could have a weapon. Turns out it was his grandfather's lightsaber. And he did have a weird ability where he couldn't really hardly wield the force physically unless he was absorbing some kind of energy or something like that. So that's the only time I can really kind of think where they pulled an established character that had no heritage, but they did at least do the work to build the heritage for him. And his book, I, Jedi, is one of my favorites.
Well, and the EU is something that's amazing. How many different authors wrote those books?
Mm-hmm.
And they all
were
managed
consistent.
to keep a cohesive storyline for the most part.
Yeah, specifically with I, Jedi, they had to write him into storylines that already happened in previous books. So they had to pull those scenes back out and basically come up with a reason why he wasn't in certain scenes and in certain places. And it still works.
Didn't he, in the Yuzon Vong trilogy, didn't he die on Coruscant?
I don't remember.
Or was it Kip Durin? I forget which one. Or was it Gana Rayso? God damn it. I can't believe I remember these names.
I did the Thrawn trilogy, and at that point in my life, I worked so damn much I didn't have time to do shit. We didn't have audiobooks.
Yeah.
I will say, if they're redoing the Legends with the modern day audiobooks, they're fucking great, dude. Laser blast, the ship engines, the footsteps, fucking edge. It's just like a radio show. It's all in there. It's not just somebody reading you a book. It's fucking the audiobooks are top tier. Like I said, I did all of the Aftermath series. I did Leia, Princess of Alderaan, which I was truly upset when I watched The Last Jedi because Admiral Holdo was a completely different character. And Ryan Johnson said, "Yeah, I didn't like the character, so I changed it
For the better."
Yeah, but it was still somebody you were attached to. If you did the audiobook or read the book, you were attached to that character. And seeing her on screen, it was not the same person. Just I think Ryan Johnson just pulled his dick out, pissed on everything, in my opinion.
Well,
He really did.
And this is what Ryan Johnson does. I mean, he has been he's said in interviews most of the time. If everyone comes out of his film saying, "Oh my God, that was great. He's pissed. He literally wants the audience. He literally wants half the audience to say it was great, and half the audience to say that that was the worst thing I've ever seen.
He's trolling.
Just so they can have a conversation.
Yeah. And the thing that got me was fucking just how much Kathleen Kennedy fucking, went at it. Like praising him and doing this, promising him a trilogy that still hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Um,
That's not good.
It'll happen.
then we had Andy
it'll happen.
Gutierrez with the Fanboy Tears Cup. Boy, the years have treated her swell, haven't they? It seems like the evil and vileness in her has just come to the surface. Because I remember back in the day when she was doing the Star Wars show when Rebels was filming, she was quite an attractive lady, and not so much anymore.
Yeah.
But I think a big
no.
portion that pushed everybody off was the hatred for the fans.
Yeah.
You don't like
See,
what we're doing. You're a fanboy, man baby. All these
Living in
words
your
they made up
basement.
for us. Yeah.
Well, talk
I
about.
got told
let's
that
talk
on
about-
one of my Ahsoka videos. You're just living in your mom's basement with no job. I was like, motherfucker, it's a 5-bedroom, 3,000 square foot house I own. Which bedroom am I in? And you would be shocked at the amount of money I make.
And
the
and just to be honest, Miss Ma'am, Mom lives in my basement. Thank you very much.
No, she lives in my guest room downstairs, so she don't have to do stairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
that kind of gets towards what we were kind of talking about, that article on Bounding, where Andreas Cabrera
Yeah, I
was
got it
talking
right
about that they're all white supremacists. I'm just so sick of this.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all don't even know what white supremacists are.
And this guy joined after Jedi Council was done. After everybody had already left, after Schnepp was dead. God rest Schnepp.
Christian
soul, he
Harloff
gave us
had left.
Apocalypse.
Christian had left Collider at that point. He had split off. So it
Yeah.
was him, Emma Fife, and Ken Knapsack. They were doing
Yeah.
it.
He said,
And it
a
didn't
lot of
last
people-
long.
Yeah, he said a lot of people forget this, but there is a direct correlation between a white supremacist crowd and the unbridled hatred of Star Wars sequels. I saw in real time as they scouted out the Star Wars fandom as a potential haven for spreading their message of hatred. Started straightforward approaching hating the Force Awakens because of Blick stormtroopers and one of the leads of the movie, and their target audience didn't fall in line with a blatantly racist take. They moved on to good old-fashioned misogyny. So I like Finn.
Yeah, I
Go
agree.
ahead, Joker.
So were they upset at the government of China because in the Force Awakens poster they shrunk Finn down and placed him underneath Leia and Han because they didn't want a black character to be so
I thought it was outright eliminated.
prominent?
No,
he
he's
was
on there, but it's
he
very
was shrunk.
tiny.
Oh,
I think with each
Yeah.
successful
and-
poster, he got
and-
smaller.
And he also there was supposed to be, they had toyed with the idea of like a love triangle thing. Nope.
Yeah,
Because
they
that got
can't
turned
chicken
around
that.
because in China, nope, not going to happen. So is the government of China racist?
No,
I mean they do have
I mean,
they
they
have
are.
the camps.
no.
Right.
They can't be racist.
Why
They're
would
not white.
why would Disney thank the people who
Did-
guard the camps in a movie
did-
if they were
did-
racist?
Did you see the response to the USA basketball team arriving in China for the Olympics?
No.
No, I missed that one.
They were saying a certain word over and over and over again that we can't say on YouTube.
Hero?
Oh,
Yes, to their face.
Oh, wait.
but-
Is it rhyme with Winnie the Pooh's friend? The
Yes.
tiger?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
But he contradicts himself. The hatred of Rey became a massive point. Rey's white, and she's British. She's a colonialist, a colonizer.
Right.
See, it's
Right.
it's buzzwords. It's buzzwords. And he's a younger
Yeah.
kid. He's a young guy. He's maybe in his early 30s. And again, I think they're just like, this is the generational difference we have. where this generation grew up as the participation trophy, and we grew up as latchkey kids that had to make do for ourselves. You know, I mean, we didn't have iPhones to tell us how to drive places. I had a map to get me to college when I drove from Massachusetts to North Carolina. I had to plot out a course.
But so
on a summer day,
let's talk about this generational gap.
Okay.
I'm 45 years old. My mom is 76 years old. If I watch a movie and I say it's good, she normally thinks it's good too. My brother is 55 years old. Same thing. Now, me and him differ a little bit, but usually if I watch a movie that I think is good and I show it to her, she enjoys it. She likes it. Matter of fact, I've caught her watching movies that I've showed her later on, down the road. So I don't know if it's that much of a generational gap because my mom's a baby boomer. I am not. I'm early millennial, late Gen X.
Gen X.
Depends on who you look at. I only sleep with a blanket on my bed. There's no top sheet. So that's considered millennial actions. Beard's like thinking, like, how do I sleep?
I'm looking.
Yeah. I think generally speaking, the cutoff point for Gen X millennial is around 1980, 81.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Joker and I are smack in the middle.
Oh yeah.
Joker and I are smack in the middle of Gen X.
Yep.
So I have a Disney friend. We'll say they're a Disney friend. They're female. They have very short hair on the sides. They don't like dudes. When I first met her, she's got like a tattoo like this big of a double-bladed lightsaber. And so everybody's like, oh, you should see Rich's because like my calf's covered. I got Palpatine and Vader with the mask split open. You can see his face. This is all before all that shit that came out.
Right.
So we were talking about that. She's like, oh, well, yeah. She's like, what do you think about this? And I'm like, well, I don't particularly care that much for Disney Star Wars. Mando season 1 and 2 were okay. And so she like scoffed and walked off. So over time, she's been working with us 2 years now. So we got talking about Ahsoka, and she would bring up a point. Well, her first thing was she's like, I can't help it. All the women are hot. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. But no, she would like bring up a scene. I'd be like, well, what about this in this scene? And she's like, you're fucking right. And because I explained to her, I'm like, we're fucking nerds. We know the lore. Like, we know exactly how this is supposed to play out, what's supposed to happen, because you're playing in a time span that's been told. And that's part of Star Wars' problem.
And
I'm
that also
surprised
goes
you got
to
a
the
level-headed
importance.
answer, and not an argument.
Well, and
no.
Well, and then
I've been working on her for a while.
And there's
That
even a
goes to the importance
subsect.
of canon.
She also says
Right. And
LGBTQIA is not meant for going after kids. So she's kind of based.
Points there.
Yeah.
we also have this thing amongst folks that are in our age range or whatever, that they are so, their love of Star Wars has made them blind, and it is just sheer brand loyalty now. And the thought of Star Wars not being in the zeitgeist just it doesn't factor into them. So they just want all the Star Wars. They don't care if it's good. They don't care. They just want Star Wars. They 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 want Star Wars.
Yeah, my brother was the same way
wanted,
even after The Last Jedi until I started bringing up talking points. He's watching fucking Mike Zero. Fucking.
Oh God.
And then I brought up certain talking points, and he's the one that got me into Star Wars with the baby mobile and shit. Until I brought up certain talking points, and now he's just like, now he sees it. And I think a lot of that has to be like,
and there's even the types that I think they know, but they can't accept it. And you can give all the information, you can give all the facts, you can point out everything, and they're still going to say, well, I like it, so it's good. And I'm like, okay.
So we talked
if you
about
like
the
it,
last
great.
episode of Ahsoka.
The response should be, I like it, so it's good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are
not that
plenty
it's
of
good.
shitty films that I enjoy, but I know they are objectively bad.
Yes.
Well, you just
That's
rated
fine.
Bubba Hotep.
Yes, I love that film.
I fucking love that movie.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that you enjoy something that is objectively bad. There's nothing wrong with saying. saying that.
Look,
Buckaroo
Bruce Campbell
Banzai is a
movies are-
stupid movie.
Yeah.
I freaking love it.
Which movie?
I
Ice
always watch
Pirates.
it if I
Is
see
it?
it.
Ice
Oh my
Pirates,
God, Ice
yeah.
Pirates. Oh, how terrible is that movie? Robert
It's
Urich.
awful. It's terrible.
But I would watch it so much as a kid. I'd watch it now. Just remember like how bad it is, and I'd laugh at it.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's like as nerd, I got Star Wars and I got Star Trek. Those are my two nerd passions that I grew up as a kid. And I could look at Star Trek, and when Voyager came out, I'm like, oh, I don't know about this. And like Enterprise, oh, I don't. There's some good stuff. I found some, but like then I see what they did after the death of Star Trek in 2005. I'm like, you guys have lost a plot. That's Star Wars now. You have lost a plot. You're just like, it's content. Like it's content. Consume more content.
I
Well,
think
and
we're
that's so-
seeing a specific, because we kind of touched on the generational gap, but I think there's a specific gap between our generation and even slightly younger than us that
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes
is specifically relating to, in partly or entirely due to social media and the internet, your identity being the things that you could pin on your Facebook page, the things that you could put on your MySpace page, and now that you put on Twitter /X.
Wow.
Yeah, those were the things that identified you, and that's all they have is that identity of that product. And so when somebody comes along and starts poking holes in it, saying that this is objectively bad writing and that these characters in Ahsoka are nothing like the characters in the previous show, even though it's the same guy in charge of them, they take that as a personal insult. Whereas nerds like us in our age group, I mean, we would sit down and discuss this minutia. We would argue about it, but it wasn't because we hate each other.
Beard,
Yeah.
I know folks. I know folks my age who still, if you poke holes in it, they are just like you. They're just like you described. Like you are physically hurting them, and they keep saying, "Stop throwing your yuck into my yum." Well, if your opinion of Star Wars is that fragile, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's when it resorts to a nerd fight and you argue points. And you walk
But
away
we
with
can't
shake
have
hands.
nerd fights anymore.
Yeah.
No.
I know people,
Think about all the
that
times-
are 21, 22 years old that fucking hate modern Star Wars.
Think about all the people, all the times you watch FNT, BBC, and Gary talks about, the nerd fights at the comic store, which is that's where the rumble happened. They're like, someone pick up a comic book and they're like, what's Cap doing in that? I disagree with that. Why do you not like Cap? Why do you like Cap more than Thor or some damn thing? Some stupid thing. Who can lift Thor's hammer? I mean, some dumb shit like that. And it was just fighting because it's nerd shit. Now it's like they have such a personal investment in it now for like, you cannot have a critical argument with someone anymore. Like, I'm telling you critically why I think Ahsoka's not good, because I like the characters that I saw in Rebels. I thought the Rebels characters had a good arc. And here's Dave Filoni's best friend ever.
Brad,
actually, are you there?
Getting tired of you giving away my secrets now.
You posted
I
it
fractured.
online. We look, we will still let you hang out with
Hello.
us, even though you came out of the closet.
Jesus, you're making me sound like Dermy over here. God damn, dude.
Dermy's been out of the closet for a long time, bud.
I think Dermy was. I think Dermy was born going, where.
So wait.
Dermy. I really like Dermy though. He's got some good takes.
So now that Fractured's here, why don't we let him do a little bit of catch up and summarize overall what his thoughts have been?
Yeah, go ahead and do that. I'll be right back.
My thoughts on what in particular? Just
So,
in general,
where did you fall
or-
in love with Star Wars, and where did you see the problem?
Oh, so the origin story sort of thing. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where'd you get your powers?
It comes from
I
the
mean,
penis.
I just know that at some point, I believe my mom rented the original trilogy for my brother and I to watch and check out. We got into it a little bit, but I'd say what really started to catch more of a passion, especially then, as Obi-Wan said, that step into a much larger world was getting introduced to games like Shadows of the Empire and Dark Forces 2, and I was like, oh shit, there's more than just the OG 3 characters, and so that's kind of where Yep, exactly. Exactly.
I don't have a
but-
disk drive on a computer anymore, but I still have my disk. I'm never throwing it.
But yeah, like definitely like Shadows of the Empire, and especially Shadows of the Empire, because I just remember playing the ever loving hell out of that game in particular, because it was also a game that wasn't ass destroying hard like the Super Star Wars games on the Super Nintendo and everything. So at least it was a much easier way in, and yeah, that's probably where it mostly got kicked off. And then I got into games like Star Wars Galaxies and
So good.
Right? Can't be replicated. There's plenty of emulated servers out there, but you just can't recapture that old feeling.
Yeah, I've got an emulated server character sitting around somewhere. I touch it every now and then.
Yeah, I
Crazy.
jump into 3 different ones every now and then, because they're all different spices of what that game went through.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like everybody else too, Knights of the Old Republic. But I've played the old X-Wing versus TIE Fighter series as well.
That was awesome.
Oh, those are great. And I got the X-Wing Alliance from GOG, and I got to do a whole total conversion mod that makes it look stupendous. Looks amazing. But then it's a total conversion into TIE Fighter. So I got to play that one of these days. But yeah, I mean that's where it kicked off for me for sure, with all that old stuff. And over the years, yeah, went on and on and on. I avoided the Clone Wars, the Filoni version for the longest goddamn time, but I was there for the whole prequel trilogy. I at first was not a big fan of the prequel trilogy, but for like no in particular, this is kind of like some of it just felt kind of weird, goofy, and yeah, Jar Jar was kind of obnoxious, but I didn't have like the vehement hate that apparently the media claimed we all had.
Yeah,
And if anybody that's looked into it, yeah, that's just it. Is like I said, the media claimed, and then Revenge of the Sith comes along, like that was pretty damn good. But the thing is, like I always like to say, is that the prequel trilogy, while I had my problems with it, I could always rewatch it. We always put it on for when we did marathons, and especially like when for Star Wars Galaxies, when it was switching over from what was called the combat upgrade into the new game enhancements, we did a whole big celebration, or at least tried to embrace it a little bit. And we were watching the trilogy as we were getting ready to gear up for that and all that. And that's the thing, I could always rewatch it. And then now fast forward, Disney, I can't rewatch it. I can't watch it with even like the riff tracks audio commentary making fun of it. It's all around to me bad. And I personally was having problems at Force Awakens. And then even more so, I dropped completely after Rogue One. Because while yes, Vader scene, key jangle everybody, we got a Vader killing people scene. Was fun and all. That big thing ringing in the back of my mind was, hey, wait a minute. They're just rip-offs of Kyle Katarn and Jan Orr doing this fucking mission. And that was immediate when I was like, all right, I'm tapped out.
But there's
Later, fellas.
there's no source material. There's no source material.
yeah, I forgot. Kathleen Kennedy laid it all out. She's like, there's not a bunch of books or anything that we could go to. We've got nothing. We're working from zero.
Video games.
Nothing.
No one's written about this for 20 years.
Absolutely not. There's nothing there. There's no, authors that had to go through appendices and through the West End Games tabletop books to make sure they are referencing
I had some of those
weaponry
books.
I found the digital versions. I have them.
Oh, I have them too. I got them too.
But, it wasn't like these authors had to go through all these materials to write all these books and everything. But I'll say, I'll always admit too, I am still very much an expanded universe Padawan. I'm still trying to learn a lot of it. And then it was the audiobooks when I started checking. I was like, holy shit, they got these cool audiobooks. And like you said, Wookie, they got all the sound effects, the music, and all that fun stuff. I started going through it. And of course, I started with the Darth Bane trilogy because I was always very interested in that character. And then it just went on from there. And it was especially once Disney took over, I'm like, I need something good. I'm like, oh, hey, there we go.
You mentioned Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah.
And you remember
Great book,
that was
too.
a big deal when that came out.
Yeah, it was a
And-
big multimedia project. It had the game, it had its own original soundtrack made for it. Although it was they kind of redid tracks from the movies, but they also added new tracks for Shizor, the final battle, a new Princess Leia song and stuff like that. And then they had two different versions of the games, the N64 and the PC version of the game. The PC had the cinematic scenes, while the N64 unfortunately just had the stills, but still kind of told things in a different way, which was kind of neat.
There's a movie that you're referencing Shadows of the Empire reminds me of. It's called Free Enterprise. Does anyone know what Free Enterprise is?
It's got to be Star Trek, knowing you.
It is directed by Robert Meyer Burnett. It is kind of like semi-autobiographical himself and Mark Altman. And they're 30-year-old guys in 1998, 1999. And basically they're geeks and nerds who grew up on Star Trek and Star Wars. And they literally run into Bill Shatner in a bookstore when Bill is looking at porn. Guys, we will watch this movie. This you will laugh at this.
Okay,
we'll
so
have to do a movie night on Discord.
Okay, so at the Las Vegas meetup, the first night of it, Salty Nerd had rented out a theater, and they played Robert's film, and Robert was there along with Gary and the F&T crew was there, and then they played Chris Gore's film after that.
But the thing that remind me of is there's this thing where they all go. So it's who's that? Eric McCormick from Will and Grace.
Yes.
Phil Lamar, voice actor Phil Lamar.
The original Fanboys.
Yeah. Rafer Weigel, who's now like a newscaster, and another guy, and they're in their car, and it's a weekend like TRU. Yeah, let's go to TRU. TRU is Toys R Us. They're going to buy toys.
Yeah.
And they're in the Star Wars aisle, and they're looking at all this stuff, and they run into the Shadows of the Empire stuff. And one guy goes, oh, I hate all this Prince Zizor stuff. And there's this like 5-6-year-old kid. He goes, it's Shizor. And then they just lay into the kid like, you have no idea what real science fiction is. And like they take the kid off to go teach him. And the one's like, oh, that child's never coming back. So that's what that scene reminds me of. It's like the whole generational thing. It's like, it's real. It's like, you know, like
absolutely.
I remember myself. I was at the Toys R Us, and like the new Star Wars stuff had come out, you know, when Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, all that stuff was coming out, and I'm like buying it because I'm like, oh, it reminds me so much, except for like the weird Kenner stuff where Luke Skywalker, like he was bodybuilding or something. Yeah. So I'm there, and there's a woman with her kid. So she's a little older than me, and her kid's like 7 or 8 years old. She's like, oh, look, it's R2D2. It's R2. He's like, well, what does he do? It's like, what do you mean? What does he do? It's like, what's he turn into? And I'm just like, oh God, I had to walk away.
R2D2 was the most versatile action figure ever. He became whatever you needed him to be. He was a jetpack. He was a cannon. He was everything.
Well, R2D2 was also the most censored character in Star Wars. They bleeped out every word.
Was he as profane as Chopper? We know Chopper's pretty profane.
Probably worse.
Yeah. I think I've seen stuff where they did like fake closed captionings of R2.
Yeah. Like,
So
fuck you, Luke. Go fuck yourself.
So the Robert Meyer film. Think of nerds mixed with swingers.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Totally is.
Might have to check that out. Well, I might have to do a Discord watch on that.
I mean, Shatner wants to do a one-man musical version of Julius Shakespeare.
Yep.
Where he plays all the parts.
Let him fucking do it.
He goes, I know it sounds crazy, but I think I can do it.
The motherfucker.
I think he could too.
and it had boobs in it.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
and that chick.
oops.
Now, who's that chick that
They had two.
Rob's
sets of
character
boobs.
was dating?
Yes,
Claire. That
Claire.
chick's hot.
Yes, and when they first met, she is in a comic book store and she has picked up this rare edition of Sandman.
Was she?
It was Sandman.
Yeah,
It was Sandman.
that's right. That's right. And then she signed a shitty ass X-Men comic that had like Gambit and Young Storm. I remember that. It's like a shitty ass like Jim Lee and drawn version, like
Jim
the
Lee is
260
not
series.
shit.
Right,
At the
so
time, it was kind of shitty. The
was-
covers were.
Yeah. Did you see
That was-
Wildstorm #1 is going for like $2,000?
Original Wildstorm?
No, is it Youngbloods? Maybe Youngbloods. Keenan shared it today, and I'm like, fuck, I think I have 2 of those in the bag, never opened.
Project. God damn.
You gotta remember, I was really getting into comics with Image. I bought everything Image I could find because they were fucking anti-establishment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, back to Star Wars.
Sorry.
Yes.
Damn it, Brad, shut up.
No, you're fine. I mean, that's a prime example of nerddom, and we try to symbolize everything nerddom here. Like,
Yeah, but you forgot to.
we have
you
Kirk
gotta
in the
have the video.
background. We have Luke in the background. You know,
You
we need to get
forgot.
Joker from his OnlyFans page in the background. We'll be fine.
You just need to drop that video I sent you from Loki.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I
God.
haven't downloaded it yet.
Okay. We
Brad's
got a
an
lot of good
asshole.
shit. Yeah.
So the last episode was all about Brad, and that happened to be Brad's name.
I got a lot of good stuff off that.
Yeah.
I got a lot of good stuff off of that one.
But yeah, that was when you mentioned that film, that just brought the Vegas meetup.
And I missed it.
I just want to. I'm not like anybody, but Salty Nerd does help a lot of people out. The shit that happened to them after the fucking meetup was fucked up. I'm glad they got their shit back.
Yes.
But yeah, shout out to them. And
Yes, definitely.
I try to check them out when I can, man, but I work so many hours, it's hard to keep up with everybody.
Good people.
Joker sends me links, and there's days I'm just going link to watch all of them.
Monday morning, it's like, oh wait, here's Joker's thing. Okay, watch that. I don't have a court hearing.
Yeah.
And Wednesday and Friday.
I'm like, oh, that's a strong one. I'll go watch Joker's video while this happens.
All right, I like it.
I've been in the bathroom working. Somebody's like, "What the hell are you listening to?" I'm like, "Oh, it's my buddy Joker. He's fine."
Better than what we'd overhear my old boss listening to in the bathroom.
Hell.
Oh Lord.
And
I don't know what it
and
was,
if you
but he
look-
was really applauding.
all right. And yeah,
Is that in the bathroom? Are you sure he was applauding?
And just these little conversations that we're having is thanks, Matt. It's just stuff that we do. If you go to a meetup, this is what it is. This is all it is. It's just nerds talking.
That's how I met Static and Bradley. Was the
Yeah.
Orlando meetup.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, the three of us congregated together and we started talking, and it just became a shitstorm from there. And look what we're at now, a big pile of crap.
Well,
But yeah, I mean, that's exactly what happened. Bradley came up, started talking to me and Static, and we were following each other to the bar there and back and forth. And that's how these things grow.
That is almost a year ago. That's almost a year ago now.
Well, Brad at a bar. I've got first-handed.
Well, no, we met at Universal City Walk.
Okay.
Because that's
Yeah.
where I think there was more people there than there was at any one of the other 2 meetups.
I ran into Static at the meetup at first, and then I ran into you guys at the Universal meetup, just like
Yeah.
walking over to that like little standalone bar which we were draining. So
Yeah.
killed
I'm
a
sure they
bottle of
enjoyed
Woodford, I
that.
think.
True story.
Clicks or clicks, bro.
I'm all for it, hey. Hours are hours. So hey, I'm
Vader
just
is a
saying.
constitutional experience.
Yeah.
Morning constitutional. But yeah, I mean, so George pretty much nailed this, and Beard sent this to me today, and I hadn't got a chance to read the article. I've watched this interview multiple times. Matter of fact, we brought it up in our lore conversation. We did a big thing of Star Wars lore before Ahsoka, just lore and canon, how important lore and canon abiding by the rules are.
Critical, the critical drinker has a great video that's simply called "Why Canon Matters," and it is amazing.
Well, it goes back to the Tolkien quote that Bounding likes to use so much about breaking that secondary world.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're standing in the first world, looking into the secondary world, and you're only willing to stand there as much as you care.
Right.
You're no longer enthralled or entrapped.
Right.
We're going to go through this, and then we'll get into what's going on with Marvel, because Marvel's having the same problem. Marvel's having it late stage. Marvel was still doing good when Star Wars was dying. But it seems like a cancer that is spreading through Disney. And in my opinion, it personally is. But yeah,
Then before we do this, I have had this thought for a while, and I wanted to ask you guys. Let's say, through the miracle of science, hypothetically, you are now president of Lucasfilm. What are your first? What are your first 4 things that you do?
Fire Filoni, fire Kennedy, fire fucking Hidalgo, and bring back the George Lucas treatments.
Okay, Brad?
I agree with that, but I'm trying to think how to retcon. I mean, I know how to retcon the Timeless Child. That's so easy. I can retcon the Timeless Child in my sleep. I don't know how to
wake up on
retcon
her fucking planet and continue her story as something else.
You can't erase this without saying, fooled you. It just doesn't count. You literally, I mean, Timeless Child, of course, is Doctor Who, where now the Doctor is not even a Time Lord. And he was told that she was told that by the Master. It's easy to say, the Master's a liar. He lies all the time. That's an easy fix. If what's his name knew it was right, he'd do it. But I don't know how to do it with Star Wars because it needs a retcon. Other than just saying none of that matters. Anything after 2005 does not count. Here's something new, or just like ignored it entirely and go Star Wars Legacy comic book 100+ years in the future. The ancestor of Luke Skywalker, but we can't have that because he never got married with Mara Jade and had a kid.
All right.
Every time he puts a comment in there, I like him more and more.
Now, Fracture. Fracture, the first thing you do.
First thing I do, I clean house. I fire everybody. Everybody goes. We start from 0, basically. And the only thing that we do start from then, so on in part 2, I guess, would be establishing that we have George Lucas era. We had the Rats era, and that's what I'd call it, the Rats era. And now we'll have the new era. I don't know what I'd call it necessarily. That's for something later. But we are starting brand spanking new, and we are starting from the very point of just George's 6 movies.
Okay. Beard?
You start out right there, and then slowly but surely I would start going through the original expanded universe and start rebuilding it and bringing it to the forefront, letting known what is going to be canon in those stories. I would immediately make very fucking clear. Dave Filoni's The Clone Wars is gone. Anything to do with it, gone. Because that's where a lot of these fucking problems started to happen. With a lot of the retconning and a lot of the bullshit that he brought in. And fuck bringing back Darth Maul. That fucker is dead in the bottom of that damn pit.
Well,
All right.
My opinion is cartoons can't be canon because they are
Well, and I do agree. I do agree.
Right.
But the problem is that too many people
canon.
Too many people have taken it as canon. That's the problem, though. So you had to make it very firm and established that that
Disney
is not considered canon.
All right.
Regardless of the semantics of the whole thing, but that is effectively, and so I guess in some ways, yes, I would have to be then also removing elements from other stories because of where even in the Kenobi book, it gets lightly referenced some of the Clone Wars of Filoni. So you'd have to change a few things, but yes, I would completely
or just leave them and say they're not canon.
Palpatine is dead.
And yeah,
Palpatine is definitely fucking dead.
All right.
Don't even go Dark Empire.
Let Beard go.
Let that Beard go.
Similar to Fractured, I would symbolically burn the entire thing to the ground. Put a moratorium on any new Star Wars content for at least 10 years so that everything can be planned out perfectly and then people will appreciate it when it shows up again. Then I'm going to grill some steaks and get drunk.
So
go for steaks and get drunk.
So as you can tell by the reactions, I'm definitely in line with this. My second thing I would do, I would go to whoever my higher up is. So like the CEO of CEO of Disney, whatever, and then I say I have a short list of people I want to run the creative part of this. Just allow me to do whatever it takes, and the first person I want. And I will do anything to pull him away from Skydance. I want John Lasseter. I want John Lasseter. And if I can wrangle him in, the third thing I do is I ask John, who do we call next? And I build that team around Lasseter. And like Beard said, you shut it down for at least a decade. You get everything.
Yeah, you have to go quiet for a long time.
Well, Disney's Star Wars tried and true thing is you make 3 movies and you fucking disappear.
Yes. Well, and you make 3 movies and you also space them out in between. You give them each one time to breathe. You aren't doing this year after year bullshit. Make one, give you 2 to 3 years movie. 2 to 3 years.
Cinematic
finale, you're done.
only.
Boom. Yes, you keep it to cinematic and you keep it to maybe books and comics if you want to tell some extra side stories and video games, but otherwise don't put out TV shows. Leave that the fuck alone. Maintain it to just the movies and leave like it is the other stuff for the nerds that really want to get extra invested.
You could do animated stuff, but you can say that this is not 100% canon.
Just completely separate it.
And this
make it not like related to the main story.
Shit happens in the comics isn't canon.
And as I said, because Star Wars belongs on the big screen, I go a la Tom Cruise. Before every film, I have John, the director of the film, and maybe the star of the film, and just basically say, "Hey, we made a film for you guys. We think it's a really good story. We made it for you. We made it for you. Sit back. We hope you enjoy it." Done.
Question becomes, what do you do for your first trilogy?
Oh, I would go with kind of like you said, actually, because George gave treatments for what 7, 8, and 9 are. You start there.
Well, my answer is I've got 10 years before I have to actually worry about putting something out, and you don't wait those 10 years.
Well, you want to. I would say though, you'd want to
bit of data. like or actual story content, not data. Disney's doing data; they're not doing story content. You pull every little bit of story content together, and whether it's the George Lucas treatments or the safe bet is just to jump into the actual Timothy Zahn Heir to the Empire.
Maybe I'd almost
And-
say though, go to Legacy of the Force era when you do have effectively the new generation taking over in Jaina Solo and Ben Skywalker, because they were effectively at that point the people that were being passed the torch. Jaina became the sword of the Jedi, and Ben was really coming into his own. I don't like the death. See, that's where I want to rework things, because I'm selfish and I'd want to bring back Mara. But
Well,
I think you ignore all that and go Cade Skywalker time frame. Cade Skywalker.
That work, yeah, could work too. That could work
I think
too.
you have to be so far in advance that you acknowledge it existed.
Oh, the one Sith era.
Yeah.
Or you do a fucking one-for-one adaptation trilogy of KOTOR.
Maybe.
Nihilus.
Well, that's KOTOR 2. That's your second trilogy.
Nihilus.
I mean,
just think, if they released a teaser and it was 30 seconds, it was just Nihilus masks fading in and fading out.
I think you have to go either far in the future or far in the past. I think you have to avoid.
You have to deviate from the Skywalker skyline.
Yes.
Storyline, or you'd have to do the Thrawn trilogy or do the Lucas treatments. It's one or the other.
Well, and then you mentioned Cade Skywalker, because then you get Darth Talon.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to get Darth Talon in.
He was supposed to. Yes. Yes.
Wait, was it?
Yes.
Wasn't? Wait, was Darth Crate Ashrad Hat?
Ashrad Hat.
You're supposed to get the hot.
Yes.
The hot. Oh, what the fuck?
That's an interesting character.
We lost Fractured,
and
I didn't take him out. He just dropped out.
And Brad, just like Disney Lucasfilm took.
There we go. Now I'm back and proper.
And just like Disney Lucasfilm took the EU and said that no longer exists with just a wave of the hand.
Mm-hmm.
You could easily say
that's true
that the Disney era doesn't exist.
Except in that case, there would be far fewer people pissed.
The problem with that, I think, is the EU was honestly very niche. I mean, everyone knows the movies.
So is Disney Star Wars. Let's be honest. That's a niche audience.
Yeah, but it's a cinematic thing. Everyone still thinks Star Wars, and no one really thinks. If I were to talk to someone about Star Wars and say Yuzong Vong, most people aren't going to know what the hell that is.
Yeah, they're going to be.
But if you say, Rey or Finn or BB-8 or Grogu, Baby Yoda, they're going to know what that is.
Maybe more not than Finn. They erased him.
Yeah, definitely not in China. They won't know that. Say Finn.
God, I have
Beijing,
a person at work.
Oh, I love fin soup. Shark fin soup. Yes.
God, I have somebody at work that's a Grogu simp. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah, but they probably don't know shit about the show. They're just simping over Grogu.
It was interesting having conversations.
I don't know why Grogu can't talk. I think Grogu may be special.
Yeah, he's 50 years old and can't speak a single word. He might be slightly retarded.
Yeah,
he's on the spectrum for sure.
He's equivalent of a 5 or 6 year old. He's got a problem.
I just wanted to throw that out there because I thought it would be a fun little side topic.
The overall agreement, I think, is ditch sequel universe and say get rid of it somehow.
Basically, have to start from zero. You have to.
Yeah.
Too much damage has been done.
Or make something called Rebel Moon.
Oh God.
I'm actually interested in seeing how that goes. I think me and Joker agree that we don't care for Zack Snyder, but I would like to see something groundbreaking in sci-fi.
I'm curious.
Yay! Return to the Snyder Bros.
I'm way more curious over that than fucking Daily Wire's fucking Snow White.
I hope them simping for the Justice League was worth it.
And Rebel Moon 3, Henry Cavill returns.
The last thing we need is Snyder Bros back. God.
Because look at the damage they already did. Like, Campbell's Super and Cheese.
Yeah, but Splinter of the
Fucking
Mind's
good.
Eye is definitely niche.
Oh God,
Not
people
many
don't even know what the
know.
hell
Oh,
that
yeah.
is.
Yeah. Um,
That was the original Kyber crystal, right?
Yeah.
I think doing Heir to the Empire would be a stronger pull because there was a lot of people that read those books.
Yeah, Heir to the Empire is a lot better known.
Plus,
But then
plus it's
then we'd have to be willing to recast.
Well, you could do. I'm fine with that. You fucking
We got
recast.
Sebastian
Well,
Stan. We
Motherfuckers
got
are
Luke. We're
elderly.
good.
Well, yeah.
Okay, because Harrison, Carrie, and Mark have all signed their likenesses over, so that's
shit.
not an issue.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah, it's
rather
not an
have a
issue now.
recast than
You bring in
Yeah,
you
I'd
bring
rather
in
have
Winter
recast.
Soldier, bring in Billy
Mhm.
Lord,
Mhm.
find somebody not the fucking guy that played Solo to fucking play fucking
No,
no Alden Ehrenreich
and
for
I know
fucking
people have
Solo. Find
said
somebody
like
else.
people have said Pratt for Indiana Jones. I think Pratt's too old. I think you need a guy around. Well, I don't know, 40s are at the right age for Harrison.
Pratt
or
would
for
be
Han
a
Solo.
good Indiana Jones, just not in the timeline.
Yeah.
Pratt is exceptional. He would play exceptionally well as Indiana Jones. Just you couldn't compare him to Harrison Ford. You'd
Yeah.
have
Pratt
to
is going-
you have to James Bond him.
Pratt is going to be Booster Gold.
Booster Gold. If the DCU happens.
If they don't get sold in the meantime.
Which is that's another thing. It all hinges on legacy.
But
That's a whole nother. That's
and
another string.
That's
to
it. That's
talk
if
about that.
Lucasfilm doesn't get sold too for pennies on the dollar for a tax write off.
They're
No, they wouldn't give up Star Wars.
Nope.
Well, that Powerball did not work out for me, so I can't do it. Sorry.
Yeah, they wouldn't
There's-
sell. They'll just keep turning it more into more Disney princess like.
No, I think you're going to see. I
think
think you're going to see after once like one or two episodes of Acolyte drops, you're going to hear the same thing you're hearing about Marvel right now.
Oh,
okay. Well,
when is that going to happen?
Okay, so Disney right now has definitely turned their attention to Marvel. Marvel is the one IP they have that is somewhat salvageable.
Well, and that's because they believe the
right now.
characters are 50 and 60 years old. There's no way to destroy them.
But the problem with Lucasfilm is you've got so much because Disney has so much invested in 2 theme parks and all Disney exclusive the merchandise that whoever would buy that, for one, they have to have it. They have to have whoever buys it has to have a proprietary streaming service. That is number one, because all those shows and films have to go somewhere.
Well,
So-
you can go to Netflix for licensing rights.
But
Hold on.
who's the
What
studio?
else did they buy
Okay.
when they bought Star Wars? What else did they buy when they bought Star Wars?
Raiders,
Willow,
Lucasfilm.
No,
Willow,
you're thinking about
DuckTales.
that stuff. ILM.
ILM.
Mhm.
How
ILM.
Skywalker
how many
Sound.
fucking patents?
132.
132 patents. They bought all that shit. It was a worthwhile investment to buy all that. They've destroyed Star Wars. They can sell that off as a brand for $50 million and still keep all that other shit.
I don't see that. I don't see that happening. I just
But I'm
don't.
just saying they could.
I think that they
If
would
Star
keep Star
Wars
Wars.
becomes so devalued, they could.
I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening because that would completely mean that Disney is going to have to admit defeat.
Yeah.
They're never going to do that, and they will sell off ABC. They will sell off Nat Geo. They will sell off Freeform.
ESPN.
They will sell off. Well,
Yeah.
they're going to find
ESPN,
a partner.
Hulu, all that shit. What the
Well,
fuck
no,
is Hulu
they're
going to have
buying
once
Hulu.
Comcast is out?
They're going to have subs. They have subs. That's what it is, and it's just.
But they're going to have what?
over
The
into
cable
Disney Plus.
channels that Disney owns, and that's it?
They're going to sell those too. They'll
Then
will
what
sell
is going to
those
happen to
too.
Hulu? If they don't own the channels anymore, they can't put them on Hulu.
It's going to just merge into Disney Plus. They want those subs. That's what Disney wants.
Yeah.
Those subscribers.
Yeah, to boost their fucking say, hey, look what we're doing.
Right. Now, Now, as Ghost says in the chat, the new proxy war going on now, that is a wild card. We have no idea what that's gonna look like. Peltz is going to get a seat. That's going to happen. The question is, he wants seats. How many is he going to get? That is going to be
Right.
so.
Yeah,
This is
that's
all
gonna be
up
the
in the
deal
air.
there.
Mhm.
It's gonna end up with just
Oh.
him sitting there across from Bob Iger going, "Hey, fuck you."
November 8th can't come fast enough. November 8th can't come fast enough. Valiant Renegade Disney earnings call. Cannot wait.
So
He live
let's get
streamed
into
those.
this. Let's get into
Okay.
this here. George Lucas explains why Star Wars is so terrible. Now, this is from an interview in 2015. This is the White Slaver interview.
Please,
By the way, that's his
I wish
wife.
to hear more.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it. I've watched it multiple
Yes.
times.
it
There's some
was,
good stuff on here. He elaborated. Now, there are two things that got abused with Star Wars and still being abused. When Star Wars came out, everybody said, "Oh, it's a silly movie. It's just a bunch of space battles and stuff. It's not real. There's nothing behind it." I said, "Well, there is stuff behind it. It's not just a space battle. There's more to it than that. It's much more complicated than that." But nobody would have listened. So they just said, "Well, it's simple. We like spaceships. We like stuff." So they said, "Fine." So spaceships and that part of the science fantasy whatever got terribly abused. And of course, everybody went out and made spaceship movies and they were terribly horrible and they all lost tons of money. I think that fucking nails Disney right on the nose.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but the only person who actually made, there was someone who made terrible sci-fi films in the 80s that actually did make money. That was Roger Corman, but that guy turned a profit on everything.
I think the only good thing I think of the 80s, I think of Battlestar Galactica.
Okay.
It was 78.
That made money. And was it Buck Rogers?
79.
Beat.
Love
Yeah,
those
Buck
reruns.
Rogers made money.
Buck Rogers, once it got to the third
I mean, they had
season,
Jane Fonda half nude and couldn't turn a fucking profit.
Barbarella.
Yeah.
Well,
I think she got more money off the photos of her with the Viet Cong than fucking Barbarella.
Yeah, but remember, BSG came out, original BSG came out in 1978.
Correct.
Because remember, we had Galactica 1980 with our flying motorcycles. So that was terrible.
It was.
Buck Rogers was the first two seasons were good. And then they went Star Trek.
Yes.
Where they were on the Searcher. The only cool thing was Hawkman.
Yes.
Yeah, Hawk was cool. Which is interesting because another cool Hawk character was in Spencer for Hire. Avery Brooks.
A man called Hawk. Yes.
Yeah. Moving on to the second point, Lucas said another part, which is technology, which is, we'll just take this new technology. It's great, especially when it came down to later in digital technology where you can do anything. He continued, and people just abuse it all over the place, which they did with color. They did with sound. Whenever there's a new tool, everybody goes crazy and forgets the fact that there's actually a story.
Right.
We're seeing that right now with Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
First season,
And
second season was
Ahsoka.
good. Third season was shit because they're using this shit. Ahsoka was garbage too.
Third
Funnily
season
enough-
was not
Whenever there's a
good
new
because
tool,
it wasn't the
everybody goes crazy and forgets
Mandalorian.
the fact that they're actually telling a story, and that's the point. You're telling a
Star
story
Wars-
using tools. You're not using tools to tell a story.
Star
Makes
Wars has
perfect
now become
fucking sense.
Star Wars has now become plot convenience,
Shitty special effects.
nostalgia bait, and name drops. That's all Star
Yes.
Wars is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, it's a
They
content.
mentioned Asajj Ventress. They mentioned Asajj Ventress. Oh my God.
They
It's a
said a
constant.
name. They said a name.
He goes
They said got
into
to go up at time.
and
It's
it
called
goes into a
history.
thing where he talks about like you're hiring a fucking professional gambler to gamble your money and all this shit and get your money back. And studios only want to pay for remakes and sequels.
Yeah.
So he goes into that.
And I would love to. Okay, and not every film has to be a tentpole film.
Mhm.
I mean, they are spending way too much money. Way too much money.
Oh, fucking
I mean,
stop.
That's why I've started
the-
to agree with some people that this
okay.
is possibly just some crazy money laundering.
Well, okay,
yes.
because okay,
we're seeing look at Rings of Power
I mean-
for $1 billion. Look at
okay, so the
Marvel's
Force
supposed to be
Awakens.
$400 million.
The Force Awakens had a stated budget of $306 million because of all the reshoots and having to with all the visual effects. The actual spend for production before marketing, $667 million.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fucking retarded. I do like here Lucas then mimicked an imagery corporate head. You have a fiduciary duty to come up with a thing that I got 10% a year. My stockholders. That's why I would never go public, and that's why I'm not beholden to any company. So
Right.
I'm just gonna say, like, your best shit you're ever gonna get is not a publicly traded company.
Correct.
The best shit you're ever gonna get is gonna, one of my favorite movies in the world got downvoted like fuck on Rotten Tomatoes. With Scarlett Johansson in it. It's called Lucy.
Lucy, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think I remember
I
that.
really enjoyed that movie. It really made you think. It really did a lot of things.
Scarlett and Morgan, right? Morgan's in that as well.
Yeah.
Yep. And a lot of people didn't like that movie because you had to use brain power. And TikTok and shorts and all this shit are perpetrating all that. You don't have to use brain power. It's all it's fucking, and I get stuck in it on Twitter. I get stuck in it on shorts.
How was that again?
But yeah, the problem is most of the content today isn't meant to keep you for more than 30 fucking seconds.
Yes, my dad is a special education teacher, specializes with life skills, higher functioning, ADHD, autism, and things like that. And he has been putting together a presentation he has to make regarding ADHD, and has been going through a book from just a couple years ago. And part of what it touches on is that the changes in the media that people have been consuming. Because you remember, not that many years ago, the big money making YouTube videos were 30 minutes long, 45 minutes long. They were long form content, and they got shorter and shorter and longer, and they got shorter and shorter and shorter. And then we shifted just completely from YouTube to TikTok, where
clips.
now they want to hold your attention for seconds at a time. And what it's basically done, it is trained the human brain to think in a way that ADHD brains think because biology makes them that way.
Well, everybody's ADHD.
Well, I mean, regardless of whether it's biology or trained that way.
Without discipline, your mind is ADHD.
Yeah. And we've just gone down the road of, we don't want concentration. We want 5 seconds of dopamine. Then we want 10 seconds dopamine. But that was like 2 seconds too long. So now I want 8 seconds of dopamine.
Yeah.
That's even the funny thing with YouTube, because
people
it used to be you
that
had to only keep it under 10 minutes.
People that are on ADHD medicines are more prone to cocaine and meth abuse.
Yeah.
That explains a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Explain my $40,000 a year cocaine habit.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely people who there are definitely people who need that assistance, but there is a lot that you can learn if I'm going to brag a minute, people like my dad who are really good at instructing these kids on how to actually adapt their view of the world to how the world actually works, and they can train themselves to better adapt to that without necessarily having to rely on medication. But
Um,
I just say all that to
well,
go to the
a lot
fact
of
that,
it
like you
comes
said,
down to discipline.
well, like you said, we've just trained ourselves to not want to focus for more than 5 or 15 seconds.
I will say that my longer videos are getting longer view times than my shorter videos.
Mm.
And if I do a 10-minute video, I'm good to get. I can get in that 25 to 30, 20 to 30% range. Usually it's 25 to 30%. The Ahsoka video that was 29 minutes, I had a fucking 25%, which is a great increase considering it was almost 30 minutes long. There's some of my longer format videos are getting more views.
I generally keep mine up between like 8 and 10.
Yeah.
Oh,
I couldn't do that for the last episode of Ahsoka. I had to fucking wreck that bitch.
It was tough.
So you watch my Ahsoka video, right? Pulled in Back to the Future, fucking
I know.
Infinity War, fucking all that shit, because it was line for line replications.
Yeah. But then again,
Empire, prepare for a ground assault. That's from fucking Empire.
Right. But
I tried. No, I do. That's from
to be
fucking
fair,
Empire.
But to be fair, I also watch Mahler too. So you're a breeze compared to Mahler.
Short one that was like 45 minutes one day.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a short for Mahler.
Well, I think, everyone here, excepting myself, because y'all are actually content creators, I'm just a content leech. You probably create content that targets a totally different audience than the ones that are incessantly scrolling through TikTok and are sitting there praising the shit that comes out of Disney. So it doesn't actually surprise me
that many people. It's not that many people praising Disney.
Right.
Well, I see. That's why I think that you might see better returns on long form videos. Is you actually you have people that don't mind sitting through 45 minutes to actually process something that's presented as a constructive argument. Whereas the people who are typically just going to want to click off something real quick, they just want that real quick fix. I might be reaching here, but I think there's got to be some sort of correlation.
They want that confirmation bias. That's where you get people going, oh my God!
It's a reaction video.
Sabers!
Yeah.
He Vadered!
Wait, the new one, he Loki'd.
He Loki'd.
Oh, for the love of
guy's
God.
name's fucking Loki. He can't fucking do that.
He Loki'd. He had the shadows with the horns pop up. He Loki'd.
That's Loki.
Oh,
Oh, my God.
Apparently.
So that's what we've done. Fucking hell.
Anyway, I kind of went off a little bit of a tangent there.
Functional idiot.
No, but you're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. And that's why the shows are so popular. And then when you talk to somebody that's a fan of Disney Star Wars and you start actually reporting the numbers, they're like, what do you mean it was 15th in the Nelsons?
Yeah.
For streaming.
Come to reality. Get out of your little bubble.
What do you mean Miss Marvel's only going to make fucking $75 to $50 million on opening day? What do you mean?
Julie,
that can't happen. Like everybody says it's fucking amazing.
But Wookie, Louise Julie said Ahsoka was amazing because they got live action Dathomir.
Okay, watch it.
They
It's
got
just
a
going to get you
picture of a
canceled if you're
fucking
Breaking
planet.
Bad.
I didn't play her clip. Didn't play her clip.
Fuck,
We
you
did
should've
during
played
our
a
live
clip.
watch.
Fuck the bitch.
I know.
She don't even show titty on her fucking OnlyFans. Fuck her. Shows like half a tit. I mean, come on. You gotta show the whole
I'd
tit.
give you that for free.
I don't think she has a lot to work with, dude. She
That's
looks very
low
skinny.
effort,
No,
low
she-
energy.
it
low
looks
energy.
like she got some nice ones, like hand sized. But
He's probably
no,
elfin.
I'm fine with elves. Nobody cares when
Yes,
your
no,
face is buried in a pillow.
She has to take off her fake glasses first, otherwise she'll hurt herself.
Oh yeah, they're definitely fake glasses. But yeah, we're at almost 2 hours. Fractured, you're on vacation this week, right?
After this week. So when Saturday hits, then yes.
Are you coming on Sunday?
I think I am.
You think you are? All right, and spill your shit for the week, sir.
So it's a maybe on the Saturday Night Sith. Still, I'm still trying to debate it. Like I said, I kind of have some reasons for it. But tomorrow I should be doing a Knights of the Old Republic or Star Wars: The Old Republic, because last I knew, Hitman is on vacation this week. I just found out. So I might be trying to get him into that game, but otherwise, KOTOR for sure. For the next couple of days, and of course Thursday I'll be around for good old Statics weekend.
Yeah, make sure you bring your tinfoil hat for that one.
I saw some of the comments. Yeah,
yeah. Make sure
looking
you got
forward to
tinfoil
it.
hat for
that. And then also next week I'm going to be on that gentleman's. You were on his podcast, Wookie, the MSK Nightwing guy.
Yeah, it was a pretty fun podcast. So if you guys get a message from MSK Nightwing, he's pretty fun to hang out with.
So I'm going to be on his podcast on Monday next week, and Nerdy Neo, I'm going to be joining him on Tuesday night that week, and then of course swinging all back around. But otherwise, that's some of the main stuff there.
Follow Fractured on YouTube and Twitter for these things. And I'm sure he's going to post all this in his community tab too, also on YouTube.
I need to really utilize that more.
Bradley, what do you got going on, Mr. Partner?
I'll just watch Loki for some reason.
Are you a masochist, Brad? I mean, I just got to.
Yes, I'm a lawyer.
Everybody's saying it's fucked. The second episode was pretty decent. And even
there
Bradley
wasn't. There was some stuff that was okay.
I worry about you.
Okay,
we just got done with Ahsoka.
the problem with Loki is season 1 exists, which completely made the entire Infinity Saga worthless.
Pointless. Yes. It was.
By the way,
because it was written by. It was written by a guy who breaks up fights between teenage girls outside In-N-Out Burgers.
No.
But my point with episode 2 was I feel like they presented an episode which it should have been from the beginning. Loki going throughout time, trying to stop rogue elements, but if he was still the villain, having ulterior motives. They cucked him, they neutered him. He's not Loki what he should have been when he's pulled out of time. It showed you what it could have been and just kind of made you more angry the fact that they didn't realize you're wasting a good character with a great actor. But let me tell you right now, if you want to go see Tom Hiddleston be an awesome actor, go watch the show, the limited series, The Night Manager, himself and Hugh Laurie. And also, God dang, I forgot the woman.
Good.
The woman who plays the gold-faced chick in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Hugh Laurie is an arms dealer. Tom Hiddleston is a hotel manager, former British soldier. It's all about spies and everything. This was the movie that made people think Tom Hiddleston could have been James Bond until he wore an I Heart TS t-shirt. And then it all went to hell. Otherwise, I'll be on Thursday's show with my tinfoil hat, and then I'll probably show up on Sunday.
All right.
Beard, what do you got going on this week?
Let's see. I have to look at my schedule because I don't have a regular one like you guys. Let's see. Thursday, I'll be on with Roman of the Empire. We'll be talking about some of our favorite horror films. Which is not a genre that I typically watch much of. So I think my picks might be a little bit off the beaten path. So hopefully y'all find them interesting.
It's full on horror
here. Yeah. And then I think that's all I've got until Monday
Saturday?
of next week. I'll be on with After the Weekend. Maybe, because last time I announced this, they changed the schedule and didn't tell me. They'll be on with After the Weekend, JT Gunn and R2 the Icky for a review of Evolution.
Evolution is a very good movie. I see they finally did The Burbs. I begged them to do The Burbs the other day. They finally did that.
That's a good one. That fucking movie.
Yeah, it's a fucking great movie. If you want, I'll send you an invite for Sunday if you want to hop on.
What time does that usually go on?
3 p.m. Eastern.
I might be able to make it. You can send it to me if I can. I'll jump in.
I'll send it to you. I'll send you the document and all that shit.
Okay. I mean, my schedule just kind of sometimes I get 24 hours notice for things. So if people want to follow me where I am on Twitter/X, Beard of Liberty, I'll post updates there. Otherwise, I thank you for taking a chance and having a weirdo like me that's just a kind of a chat goblin come on.
Oh,
your
Beard,
stream
you're awesome,
and,
dude.
Yeah, Beard,
talk
you
about
seem
this.
pretty cool. I've seen you on a couple of things, so
I appreciate it.
Kind of
And
honored you were in my chat for the Ahsoka stuff, even though it was so bad.
Yeah, I was gonna watch it anyway because I liked how that character actually developed, went from a character I absolutely loathed into a character I loved, and
And then
I knew it was
loathed
going to be a
again.
letdown, but I just had to do it.
I'm
But
just
anyway,
glad there was one writer's name on that entire series, and it was Dave Filoni.
Oh, that just exposed it.
This was his religious
Brilliant.
experience, man. This is what
There was no
all-
Zahn for Thrawn or nothing, and then it turns out Zahn is a cook too.
Oh yeah, bent the knee a long time ago.
Yeah. Joker, I know you have 55 things to announce.
I got a lot to do. Right after I'm done with this, I will be recording my video for tomorrow, which is actually a part 2 of a video I did a few months ago called Hail to the King, where if the rumors are true and Universal is buying Warner Brothers, Universal it is for one purpose and one purpose only, to take down the House of Mouse. And I will be going over why that works. And then Thursday I will be on with this guy talking horror films with Roman of the Empire. Friday morning I will be dropping my review. Since I'm doing a month of stuff that I have enjoyed, I will be doing a quick review of the film of the Tim Burton classic Beetlejuice. And then Friday 7 p.m. now, new time, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern time for Friday night's Royal Rumble. And then I'll be probably here on Sunday as well.
Yeah. We could probably go for 2 more hours, but there's no sense in beating a dead horse. I think we all understand what the hell is going on here.
Pretty much.
And we were really fucking sad. We celebrated things we liked. We talked about the things we didn't like and the things we thought were wrong with the subject, and we go from there. But you guys have a good one. Boxed Wine. It's been helping divorced, middle-aged, childless women write shit scripts since 1986 and beyond. Here's to you, ladies.